If you live in New York City and you don't know who Audrey Munson is, well, you probably should, because most likely you have seen her as you are hustling around New York City every day. In 1909, Audrey Munson was a young teenage girl strolling down Fifth Avenue with her mother, minding her own business, when she's approached by a photographer named Walter Herzog. And he says to her, "Hey kid, with a face like that, I could make you a star. Come pose for me at my studio, why don't you?" It's an old story, right? We've heard it before. But this guy's legit. And he ends up turning Audrey Munson into America's first supermodel. She ends up becoming the face and the inspiration for 12 public statues in New York City. You've seen her on the Municipal Building, the Manhattan Bridge, the Pulitzer Fountain, the Alexander Hamilton's Customs House, the Maine Memorial, just to name a few. She was also the face of the Panama International Exposition in 1915 in San Francisco. She becomes known as Miss Manhattan, the American Venus. She is a huge celebrity. Men fall in love with her, and this would sadly end up becoming her demise. Audrey Munson and her mother move into a boarding house on the Upper West Side owned by a Dr. Wilkins. Dr. Wilkins one day decides to murder his wife in order to make himself available for young Audrey. Well, what happens? The press gets a hold of this and they demonize Audrey. It must be her fault. She's so beautiful, so seductive. Poor Audrey can't find work anywhere after this. Her mother winds up selling utensils door to door. Audrey is tearing tickets at a dime museum. She falls into a deep depression that spirals out of control until she ends up trying to take her own life. Her mother ends up committing her to a mental institution in upstate New York, where she will stay until she is 104 years old, lost in time, forgotten. Staff at the hospital used to tell the story of this senile old lady who would tell tales about being a huge supermodel and the face of all these statues in New York, and they would kind of quietly smile and nod their head. But little did they know, Audrey Munson would die in 1996, and she would be buried in an unmarked grave in upstate New York. How does this happen? Why no one has written a play or done a musical about her, I don't know. Lin-Manuel Miranda, if you are watching, get on this one. Generations will come, generations will go, but Audrey Munson will always loom over New York City and grace us with her beauty.